But my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises. You ain't stopping this, cross my shit, you'll be knocked unconscious, bitch. That's the consequence, I got this, I will not quit. Man, I'm on it, honest, I'm gonna launch quick, then I'm gone. It's just a matter of time before I'm over the climb and moving under my prime. Just quit my 9 to 5, I'm rocking, and they watching, cause it's shocking. Dropping all these top 10 songs, no stopping. It's time to live my life, it's time to live, not die. Wish I could slow down time and just enjoy the climb.
What is up, people? So that was a fun interview that I did over at Non-Sec. If you didn't catch it, why don't you go over there and check it out sometime after this stream. Just wanted to say, thanks to them, having a good conversation. Yes, Steve was one of the people that definitely helped me out in my decision. And I wanted to make it very clear. My decision doesn't mean that I'm going to be one of those people that run around just talking shit and trying to prove people wrong. Because, again, I don't know enough. But with that said, if you were there, you did hear what I had to say about Michael over at a 24/7 Discord server. He definitely is one of the is what I would consider a problem for Flat Earth. Again, I'm not here to prove anything to anybody. If you hear what I say, please go out and go check it out. Let me go ahead and turn that up. All right, is that better? Audio better? But yeah, that guy Michael, he's one of the people over at the 24/7 Discord server that makes Flat Earth look bad, really bad. Definitely not someone who gives a shit about learning what's going on. Definitely not someone who gives a shit about hearing anything but his own voice. With that said, what's up, people? I'm going to go ahead and say what's up to everyone in the chat. Fluffy Toke, how you doing, sir? Sasha, what's up? Can't guarantee this will be a censored stream, my friend, so it's giving you the heads up. Seek&Find, give me about 2-3 minutes, and then I'll send that link out to you. What's up there, Path? How you doing, sir? Good to hear the news. Lee Kung Fu, how you doing? How you doing? Teddy C, what's up, my friend? How you been? What's up, Citizen? I hope maybe you're in a little bit better of a mood than when I made my announcement a few weeks ago. Raven, how you doing? Scotty Storm, good day. I saw you had some comments for me when I made my decision. You're more than welcome to come on too. D.Marble, good day, sir. Good day. Yeah, but like I was saying, yes. Yeah, see, Citizen, that negative attitude is kind of what makes the Flat Earth Globe battle happen. As far as I'm concerned, it should be an individual search for truth. If you got a problem with me, you don't need to be here. Better yet, you're more than welcome to, come on and express yourself. Now, with that said, anybody that does come on my panel, Seek, this isn't for you because I know you're respectful. I know we're cool. Come on my panel, keep it respectful because I'm not here to make anyone look bad. I'm not here to talk shit, period. That goes for you too, Michael. I see you in my chat. Yeah, and that's all there. No, Indigo, I have no problem with him. He's passionate about what he wants to teach, but he's not like you. you definitely put a black eye on flat Earth, Michael. With that said, if you're out there and you, citizen, I wasn't talking shit about you. I wasn't talking shit about flat Earth. I was literally talking shit about a person, saying he gives a black eye on flat Earth, kind of the same way Grayson did when she was putting it on there. But with that said, it's just what it is. It's not my, people are themselves. They act a certain way, regardless of what they believe the shape of the Earth is. That's the type of person he is. Period. If he was trying to convince people that horses are cows, he's still going to be that type of person. But yeah, that's just the way it is. Again, if you have a problem with my decision, you don't need to talk to me. You don't need to be cool with me. It's my decision. To the people that are flat earthers that I'm still cool with, that's because we formed a relationship where we're cool. Their decisions and their beliefs have nothing to do with whether or not I have respect for them. You should know that, Michael. Understand that. That's how it should work. Yeah, and D.Marble, I'm going to hit you up because I actually just got your message, and I was, had some issues going on. I'll explain them a little bit. I kind of have an idea for a new stream that I'm going to start doing. That, and let me say this first. What I said on the show, and I've said in past interviews that I've been recently doing, I believe it wholeheartedly. It's about understanding what you're hearing and understanding what's going on. You may not want to understand. It's good on you, but it's pretty obvious. You guys heard that guy Matrix on the non-sex show. I don't believe anybody should come at it with an idea of because they lie. They lie isn't a good reason. It doesn't prove flat Earth. It doesn't prove globe. It doesn't prove anything. It just proves that you don't understand. For the people that don't live stream and put out their beliefs and put out what they see happening, I honestly believe that a lot of them don't understand what they're seeing, or they don't want to. They don't ask questions. I don't fault anybody for believing it's a flat Earth. I fault anyone who doesn't care to know what's going on, regardless of what they're being told, regardless of who's telling them globe or flat. There's a lot of people that are in that rut, in that mode of I don't care. It is what it is, it is what they believe it is. Period. You got to be open to everything. If you weren't open to everything, you probably wouldn't have found flat Earth. If you don't understand something, say you don't understand it. That's all there is to it. So with that said, we're kind of going to get into it. The idea of this live stream, a buddy of mine, Seek&Find, who is a flat earther, we've kind of, we were just going back and forth in a few of the chats, kind of having an idea, a discussion about, what we believe and how we think things work. And he asked, hey, are you going to do a live stream? I have some questions, and I thought, hey, I think it's a good idea. I can't guarantee I'm going to give all the answers. I can guarantee you I don't have all the answers. I can guarantee you I don't know a lot about a lot of things. I have no problem researching them on the live stream and kind of getting into how it works. I have no problem, answering and giving my impression on how things work. Again, it does not matter the shape to me. I give a lot of information out about, especially the geoengineering going on. I think those things are the important things. I wish more people realize that and put this flat Earth globe thing to rest. It is 100%, as far as I'm concerned, in the same realm as religion. It is a personal thing. It's not really a battle. It's not really it's definitely not a group thing. So if you're part of a group and you believe it's flat because if it's a group, you already fucked up. As far as I'm concerned, that's just my opinion. That's it. So with that said, let's go ahead and get this hangout going. Not to mention, I did tell you guys what I would be doing on a normal basis. I will be doing the camera thing. I'm still trying to figure out some of the settings. So hey, yeah, it's small right now, but I'll be figuring it out soon. Um, Let me go ahead and get that invite out. Anyone who wants to get in the chat, go ahead and let me know. I kind of want to get this discussion going first, and then I'll put the chat link in the Hangout link in the chat, and go from there. But I did want to kind of start out with just me and Seek, so we can kind of start building on what we were doing before. Go ahead and check your email or your Hangout, Seek. I just sent that to you. And for anybody who hasn't, yeah, this is me. This is what I look like. I'm black. All right. Okay, and I'll answer that right now. To anyone who believes I wasn't a flat earther, too bad. That's on you. I don't care what you believe I was or was not. Maybe I guess I'm a little bit more real than you are when it comes down to it. But the realization is, as far as I'm concerned, I know what I was. I know what I believe. You have the problem if you have to convince yourself or believe I wasn't. I'm not now, so be it. Yeah, Sasha, I'm going to send you a link in a second. But like I said, I want to kind of get into this with my boy right here real quick, and we'll deal with it. How you doing, sir? Can you hear me? Oh, there, right. Oh, my bad. I've had my mic muted. How you doing, sir? Can you hear me? Seek. All right, dropped out. Maybe he's gonna come back in. All right. Let me see here. But yeah, to me, it doesn't matter. Flat, globe. If we're cool, we're cool. If you don't like me and you think I BS, bye. Take off. Hey, how you doing, sir? How you doing? All right, you're good to go. I can hear you. I just want to make sure everyone in the chat, can you guys hear him? Just want to make sure the audio is good on his side. Go ahead and talk real quick. You guys hear him?
Mic check, mic check.
All right, I'm
not looking at the chat.
Yeah, just to make sure, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I'll turn you up and everything, because on my OBS it seems kind of low, but I also don't have any of my settings on, so. Okay.
Hold on a minute. How about that? How's that?
Should be. I got people saying, oh, okay, they can barely hear you, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn you up real quick. All right, you guys should be able to hear him perfectly fine now. Go ahead and do it one more time.
Mic check, 1 2. Mic check.
All right. I know they got to hear you because I can see you on the OBS and it is loud and clear. Again, I'm gonna go ahead and address this one last time. It does not matter if you believed I was a flat earther or not. What's important is I came to my own conclusions. Again, if you're a flat earther or you're a glober, hopefully it was your own decision and not convinced to you or doing it because of the wrong reasons. So people in the chat wanted to say that they didn't believe I was a flat earther. Hey, I guess I wasn't. As long as a lot of people know I had a lot of different views than a lot of flat earthers. So at least I'm me. How about that? So how you doing, Seek? I apologize for that. I just kind of wanted to get that out the way. I'm done ranting now. How you doing, sir?
Oh, good, man. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing real good. So everyone that in the chat just got here, me and Seek, we've been conversing back and forth in different chats, and he came up with the idea. Hey, why don't we do it on the stream? And I thought it was a great idea. Kind of makes it makes it a little bit more personal, makes it easier, because I don't know about you, but I hate typing with a passion.
Yeah, me too. It's too much to type out, man. It gets to be a headache for me, but yeah.
Oh yeah, big time.
I much rather hash it out, just talk it out. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, I definitely don't have to tell you how I roll. You know, respect, respect. But then again, you've always shown it to me, and I feel like I've always given it to you. So uh, I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I got no malice towards you, man. I just really just want to pick your brain and ask you a few questions
absolutely.
because for me, being a flat earther, to go back to the globe, it would take, man, it would take it would take some concrete evidence,
Yeah.
and
No,
I just don't think it's there. So
well, see, like I was saying before, my personal idea on how it is isn't from a place of you don't know anything, because I've talked to you. I know you're smart, um, but I worry that a lot of flat earthers maybe don't have a really good understanding of what a lot of globers are saying, or and not you, or they don't care to even hear it. You personally, I know you care to hear it, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be even asking me anything.
right,
So
right.
I just wanted to say that, and we can go from there. Did you want to go on what we were talking about before, or did you just kind of want to just go off the cuff and
Oh
ask
yeah,
away?
we can get back to what we was talking about. But first off, I just kind of wanted to ask, because I know you're somebody who I consider, and I was a mod on your channel, and I appreciate you having me as a mod. I think you removed me, but
No.
it's all good.
No. Just so everyone knows, I kind of removed everyone, and the people that are mods are people that like I'm either I've have a ongoing relationship with on a discords, hangouts. Like, I'm always talking to them, and I am going to make more mods. I'm going to make you a mod again. I was going to do that a minute ago, but I had to set up this again. So anyone who isn't a mod, please do not take it personal. You will become a mod again if like Seek, like me and you, how we've had conversations. We're cool. You will get a mod. Don't worry about that. Anyone in the chat like that, don't worry.
Yeah, that's all good. Ain't no biggie. I'm a respectful dude. I ain't gonna do none of that
Oh yeah.
hateful stuff in the chat. But yeah.
No worries at all. I'm not worried about that at all. Yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but first, like, I wanted to ask you, because I see you as somebody who's like a conspiracy theorist, like, at heart.
Yes.
So so you don't have a strong trust for the government,
No, not at all.
correct? Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I absolutely or I don't want to say a complete distrust, because there's aspects of our lives that we kind of have to put out of our hands. We can't do anything about, period, and we do
I
need them.
agree.
We do need them. Anarchy would happen if not, and that we obviously all know that wouldn't be all right. But yes, there are many things that are severe issues with our government. Yes.
Okay, so do you agree? Well, let me put it like this, because what I'm having trouble with is, the I just said it is the trust. How much trust do you have in them to? Because when it comes to something like where you live, that might not be important to you, but it's important to me.
Uh-huh.
Knowing where you're at, you know what the cosmos is important. So why do you trust them if you don't trust them in so many other areas? Why do you trust them to give you the truth about that?
It's for me. It's not that I trust them to tell me it's a globe. It's that when I look at the big picture, when I look at the evidences that I got for both sides, the globe has more combinations. Things work together, whereas what I was getting personally was bits and pieces of flat Earth.
Okay.
So like I was saying, a lot of things do work and make sense when you're looking at it from a flat Earth side. Especially when you go outside and you look around, you're observing. It does look flat. But what I couldn't find and I couldn't do for myself was I couldn't piece a bunch of aspects of flat Earth together, and it still work.
Okay, so see, that's one of my problems that I have is the appeal to this model. We need a model. why do people expect flat earthers to have a model when, you know, like me, I've only been a flat earther for a couple of years now. So I'm a busy person. I got a family, to take care of. So I don't have the time to do none of this, but I do talk to the people around. Everybody around me knows that I'm a flat earther. I have no problem with talking to people about this. You know what I'm saying? So I just not on the internet like that because I don't have time for it. You feel me? So
I completely understand.
Even mapping out something like the Earth is something as big as the Earth. That would take a lot of resources, man, and a lot of time. So I think that's just a weak argument that a lot of ballers put out there. That's just like a cop out, man. It's a cop out. It's like, where's your model? I've only been a flat earther for 2 years, man.
No. Oh yeah, that was one of the things that actually irritated me the most, in the sense of I don't make models of things like that. How do you expect me to construct one? I couldn't make a model of the globe. I don't know how. That's like telling someone who's never made a map to be a professional calligrapher. Do it now. It's like, come on, like you're asking something ridiculous. When it comes down to it, and like you were saying with having the time to, if I had to be 100% honest, I can give a shit less if it's flat or globe, 100%.
And that's why I respect you, and I got a lot of respect for what you're doing, because you do shed light on a lot of the problems that's going on. But I think flat Earth, to me, flat Earth is that umbrella that all of this deception falls under, and it's important, and it's an easy topic to bring up instead of something like whatever. It's like it's right in front of everybody's face. We can all kind of test this right now,
But with that, like you're saying, I never at no point did I ever really, I couldn't understand, and I've heard a lot of people who weren't able to really convey it to me, why they would lie about it. I mean, you've heard more land, resources. The resources thing was kind of the one I could have believed the most, because I know exactly how the government is when it comes to these resources and stuff. Because like a lot of people know, that's what I stream about. I stream about what they're doing and not telling us. But when it came down to it, and obviously through my streams, the shape was never really a big deal to me. It definitely, the one thing I can say, I appreciate the flat Earth, for it opened my eyes to the more of the things I needed to ask questions about and watch out for. But to me, especially like this geoengineering thing going on, I honestly believe that everything should be dropped. This whole discussion should be dropped, when in regards to getting everyone enlightened on that. Another thing that I wanted to express about it, and especially when I'm doing these interviews, these things like that, was, and obviously everyone knows, because I did have such a different idea and view of what flat Earth was at the time. It really isn't a group belief. It's not a group thing. Yeah, it's good to have like-minded people and people to bounce ideas and get how things work together. But the biggest issue I was seeing is that it became cliquish. It became people having these groups. It wasn't an individual idea. It's kind of why I don't like talking about religion. To me, if you're religious, that's something that's a relationship between you and God, not God and everyone together. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where that's where I started kind of worrying about if I was getting enough evidence and facts that I could actually use for flat Earth. Then I realized, I wasn't getting things that could piece together. It's like a puzzle as far as I was concerned. I couldn't make a full puzzle with flat Earth. I couldn't conjoin 3 pieces together. If that makes it makes it a little bit simpler.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I sort of agree. I see a lot of stuff going on in the flat Earth community that I don't agree with, but at the same time, I mean, there's 2 sides to that coin, bro. There's a lot of globe earthers doing a lot of messed up stuff.
Absolutely.
You know,
With
so
that said,
to kind of jump to that side like that,
no, so I didn't.
kind
That's
of
the
threw me
thing.
for a loop.
But see, that's the thing. I didn't jump to a side. I didn't jump to a group. I am not them. If I know you got to remember, and a lot of you people remember when I first found flat Earth, and I was a glober, going on Dread's You've Been Exposed panels. I was never what it is now. One of the things I'm seeing that scares me the most is flat earthers are becoming like that. If you got to be disrespectful to get your point across, if you got to be personal, you're not doing anything for the right reason.
I think you're right about that, but and I agree. I think everybody need to check their ego at the door, and that's something that everybody has to go through on their own, spiritual journey, in my opinion. Now, when I say spiritual, it's not got nothing to do with religion, but I think we are, spiritual beings. So everybody has that, their own journey, but we do need to check our egos, man. It's like everybody's so daggone egotistical that, it's just a bunch of what you see, a bunch of nonsense going on. And nobody's sticking to, really trying to figure out the real truth. Go ahead.
Exactly. And I've said it before. Hey, guess what? I don't know crap when it really gets down to it. And I'll admit, I can be wrong with what I believe. I do understand that. I did want to address one thing in the chat real quick. For the people that, Jose, again, much respect for you. The title being calling out 24/7 wasn't to call out all of 24/7. It's to call out Michael, who I've obviously had issues with for many months now. But at the same time, answer this: you don't think 24/7 is as one-sided, if anything, or the same as Jim Panda's server? Yeah, I hung out there a lot because I wasn't willing to only hear one side. I wanted to hear it all. I wanted to get truth. I am here for truth. And you are not going to get truth hearing one side of it. I'm sorry. I deducted that it was a globe. That does not make me a bad person. It doesn't make me an agent. It doesn't make me a shill. It doesn't mean I'm anything that you negative people in the chat want to keep perceiving me as. My opinion it's my decision. I didn't do it for anybody. I didn't do it for Jim Panda's server. I wasn't a flat earther for any other reason besides for me. Everyone should be like that. 24/7, everything you say about Jim Panda's server, please understand, you guys are 100% the same. That's all there is to it. Yes, there are disrespectful people in Jim Panda's server. 100% agree with you. To this day, I still mute them. I still tell them to calm the fuck down. So don't treat me like I've treated any of you disrespectfully. Sorry for that little rant, but the one thing that I found in the past few weeks that I realized is who was really cool with me and who was just acting cool with me because I was a flat earther. I don't want that. If you're not cool with me because I'm a glober now, peace out. Leave my chat. Don't talk to me. Bye. That's all I got to say, guys. That's all there is to it. Michael, I keep it as real as it gets. I haven't bullshitted. I haven't talked to you any differently than you've talked to me. So don't make it sound any different. Yeah, I'm sorry. I 100% agree with you, Seek. It should only be about truth. I perceived it one way. You perceive it another way. That doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't make me a bad person. And that's what I think. The biggest thing I want to say and get across with anything. The whole fucking reason I've even done any of the interviews I've done, and you'll hear me say it on each one of those interviews, all the disrespect, all the shit talking, the making it personal has to stop. Everyone who does that, Both sides are doing it now, and you guys are all muddying the water. Anybody who feels the need to be personal and disrespectful, you guys are fucking it up for truth. Period.
I agree with you, man. I agree. Like I said, I've been around for a couple years now, and I see what's going on. And, you know, you're right. But like I said, I see both sides of the coin, you know.
Absolutely.
Globers have done a lot of disrespectful stuff.
They started
a
it.
lot.
When I came around, Globers were the problem. I didn't see disrespect out of flat earthers. I didn't see none of that shit. But as things are progressing, man, it's almost scary how it's become. It is to the point now where it is almost like there are these small groups of Globers and these small groups of flat earthers that are really willing to take this shit to like a battle. Like, you guys serious? There's far bigger things going on than to be physical about the shape of the fucking earth. It's calm down.
I feel you, man.
Yeah, back to what we were.
What I wanted to say to you is, and the point I wanted to drive home is that me personally, if I did come into like where I felt like, you know, the flat earth, I had questions about it and I wasn't sure about it anymore, I wouldn't just jump to the globe side.
But see,
I would be like undecided or something. You know, I would claim that I just don't know. You know, but for me to jump to the globe side, I would need to see some concrete evidence.
Okay, but in the same point of that, what concrete evidence for flat Earth do you have?
For me, it's pretty simple, man, and pretty easy. The simple stuff like the spin and the water, you know, I like to stick with those and have those points exhausted before we move into anything else. Like, you know, and another one is the air pressure without, you know, the container. I think that's a good point.
I think a better question would be, do you understand everything about flat Earth?
Well, what do you mean as far as like having a model?
No, because we kind of went through that. Do you understand enough about flat Earth that there is no question, period?
I understand that water is flat.
Okay.
And there's a lot of water out there, so I just call it flat because water's flat.
Okay.
And it's a lot of it.
Now, if I came into an argument saying water is water is on a ball, does that prove a globe?
If you said water's on a ball?
Yeah. That nothing else. Nothing about no sunrises. Nothing else. Just water is on a ball. That's it. That's all I said.
Water is sticking to a ball.
Yeah.
Like
so
gravitating to a ball.
Yeah. But I didn't even add gravity, because basically what I'm saying is when you say water is flat, that's one aspect. That's one thing, and I 100% agree with you. Where I believe that if you're trying to figure out something, you need to obviously get a real strong foothold and start there, and starting at what the oceans are and how you perceive them and understanding them. That's a big deal, but you would need, that doesn't just prove flat Earth. That you would need other things that go along with that to prove flat Earth, or for better yet, not say prove, for it concrete flat Earth.
Like what?
Like I was saying, from it's flat, the oceans are flat. What other steps that go along with it's flat? What works that we observe?
Well, like I said, you wanted three things. Three things for me is one, water. Two is the spin. You would have to explain that.
No. I mean, I'm sorry if wasn't. I mean that. So I gave that puzzle analogy. So three things that fit together, that coexist with each other to show it's flat. Kind of like sunrise, sunset, which then it also explains the sun's distance and the moon's distance. All those things kind of like if you're calculating them and you're looking at the numbers and you're trying to figure it out, one view doesn't work with the other. So if I was going to say that, I would be how the horizon works at 3 miles at the beach doesn't work with it being flat. At the same time, it does show curve, and it would explain different things that would match with it and work with it.
So what's your question? You want 3 things?
Yeah. So if the ocean's flat, you know, what other aspects of that, of, you know, flat Earth goes with that? How does it correlate with other?
Well, another thing is it being stationary. I mean, I think I'm answering your question. I hope I am. But yeah, the water being flat, it being stationary, you have to, you know, prove that we're moving. And the other point that I bring up a lot is the air pressure.
Okay. I get what you're saying, and it does work.
We can stick with one at a time.
Yeah, we'll stick with one at a time. I think I'm thinking more in depth into it, but at the same time, I couldn't even get in depth in my globe idea of a lot of those things. So I think, yeah, you did answer it actually exactly how I would be able to answer it. If it's cool with you, I'd like to do with the atmosphere thing, because that was our discussion we were having before.
Okay.
So, you know, to speed everything up for people, we were kind of talking about, you know, helium and how the different atmospheres, and if I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, there being a dome or not.
Well, I believe that there needs to be some type of container or membrane there. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because that was kind of what started the conversation and brought us to helium and everything. For me, when it came to the dome, as a flat earther, I didn't believe it was a dome for the reason of we can measure an atmospheric pressure at ground. You know, at ocean level, it's 14.7. We can use anyone can use a barometer to figure that out. But as you raise in elevation, we see that the atmospheric pressure decreases. I did a lot of thinking about this. If you get a like a soda bottle or anything that can have a container and become a closed system, and add a pressure to it, the pressure doesn't do the same thing as what we can measure here. You know what I mean?
Okay, so my question would be because when I think about the pressure changing as you go up, I think about the nature of the gases changing. So hear me out. So like I hear a lot of globalists say, I like to call them globalists. I'll hear a lot of globalists say, you know, if I'm at, you know, in Colorado and I'm higher in elevation, you know, the atmosphere changes, the pressure changes.
Yes.
Okay, so my question would be, you know, because I think of it like this. I think the gases are changing as you go higher, and there's lighter gases that's up there, and that's what's causing this pressure change. So my question would be, does helium carry, or any kind of gas that's lighter than oxygen, do they carry a different pressure, you know, than oxygen?
No. Let's see. Okay.
So helium or nitrogen or hydrogen or anything like that in the gas form would have the same pressure as oxygen?
No. And here's why. They, as individual gases, no. Or individual gases, yes, I'm sorry. They do. But as in our atmosphere, no. They are measured and they are under the same atmospheric pressure together. So, and they react in those ways. So helium, as you were saying, it rises. It rises because it's lighter than air. So it's a different gas, and it reacts differently in our atmosphere because it is lighter than air.
Okay, so why wouldn't you think that because like I like to give this analogy. If we're underwater, right, Sean, we're underwater and I blow up a balloon, and this balloon is oxygen. Say I just blow up pure oxygen in it. That balloon is going to rise to the top of the water and do what?
It's going to and rise and then dissipate.
It's gonna balloon will
no, I'm
rise
sorry.
to the top of the
if
water.
it's in a balloon, it's just going to rise to the top and then float.
And then stop, right?
Yes.
It's not got no reason to go any higher because it's been married with that oxygen.
Yes.
Okay, so when you let a helium balloon go, what makes you think anything different is going on there?
If you filled a helium balloon underwater, let it go, it's going to hit the surface and then rise above the surface because again, the helium is lighter than air.
Hold on, but the oxygen balloon would stop. It would stop. It would not try to go any higher than that because it didn't met that consistency. Because it met that density.
But that's the thing. Oxygen is heavy enough that gravity would do that. It marries it. If you let helium go, not in a container, not in a balloon, just let it go in the air, it's going to rise until it dissipates to nothing. The reason we breathe air, oxygen is we have so much oxygen at our level in this hemisphere, or I'm sorry, in this area of atmosphere is because of its weight, its density, its mass of it. It's heavier.
Right.
So that's why there's so much here. Why helium rises above it.
Right.
And oxygen works the same way. As you gain altitude elevation, there becomes less and less oxygen.
Why? Why do you think that is?
It because there's less pulling on it, less gravity pulling on it.
Why?
I don't know why there's less gravity. I can't explain that. I do know.
You want me to tell you?
Sure. Yeah.
At least what I've heard. I've been on like Red's Rhetoric channel once, and I've talked to a dude named Jermaine. I don't know if you know Jermaine.
I think so. But I want to say that place is not a place to learn. He's not out to teach anything. He's out to be an asshole. And to this day, I fucking think Red's Rhetoric is the biggest dick in the world.
Yeah. He's a jerk. But yeah. So what was I saying? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You were explaining why oxygen dissipates as you gain elevation.
Well, what I think is going on is that the composition of the gases are changing. Like there's more, say, of a gas like helium. It might not be per se helium, but the gas is changing, and those gases are spreading. Because this is what Red's Rhetoric said to me was that, the atmosphere molecules are spreading farther and farther apart.
Yes.
That's why the gravity is not holding it down as much. Okay, so what I think is going on is that the different composition of gases as you go higher is changing, and that's spreading the oxygen molecules apart farther. Now, you can't, as you go higher, you need oxygen to breathe. So as you go higher, you're starting to breathe more of a composition of, say, helium. We're using helium. And you're not getting as much oxygen because they're spread farther apart. It's the helium gases that's doing that. Okay. And another question that I would have for Red's Rhetoric or anybody that's listening who wants to answer this question is, this is something that I've done research on, is the ionosphere.
Yes. Okay.
They say the ionosphere is it's like a dense area up there. It's highly concentrated is the way to explain it. So there's highly concentrated molecules somewhere up there that these radio waves are bouncing off of. Okay.
I've never
if you're
heard
going to
it that
argue
way.
that the molecules are getting spread farther and farther apart, then what's the ionosphere? What's highly compacted up there? What's highly concentrated? That sounds like a dense area up there that these radio waves are, propagating off of. Go ahead.
I've personally never heard that, and I can't say you're wrong. I don't know enough about that to explain that, or anyone who has explained it that way. I do know that the way the atmospheric layers work, it is difficult for me to even grasp. For say, our stratosphere. Once you hit the stratosphere, ozone layer area, it actually, as you gain elevation, it actually becomes, becomes warmer. So, as you get higher, it's supposed to get colder. But once you hit the stratosphere, it actually is warmer at the lower areas or colder at the lower areas, and then higher. It gets hotter as you go higher. I don't understand why. I don't have a full grasp on that. But as I do understand how our atmospheres and oxygen and any other gas works, the best way I could explain the oxygen falling due to gravity and down here and staying here, as to things dissipating as they gain elevation, would be the hot and cold aspect of it. Picture when you're cold. You know, you want to cuddle up with somebody. You want to be close. If you penguins, when it's cold, they bunch up into a group because, you know, then it becomes warmer. Once you get hot, you spread apart, become lighter and less of a group. Would be the only way I could explain why molecules dissipate and rise rather than and fall. I know that's not a good explanation. I know it's not the scientific and proof, but that's how I understand it. When it comes to the upper atmospheres being a different gas period, it wouldn't coexist because, I mean, I guess I would have to ask before I say it doesn't work, would be what elevations do you believe would be a helium-based atmosphere?
Well, I'm not saying that there's like a helium layer up there, because I've learned about, you know, I remember learning about in school the, you know, the different layers of the atmosphere, you know, mesosphere, stratosphere, there's a couple others, exospheres like the top, you know. I remember learning about those, and I actually like just Googled it real quick the other night, and it was like, you know, I didn't see the ionosphere on there. It's like they'll list, and that I remember not learning about the ionosphere, so that intrigued me. And looking into the ionosphere, it's like they explain it like it's a denser area up there that these radio waves can bounce off of. You know, so I just think that's interesting, man, and people should look more into.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I can speak on the ionosphere, it is where our weather, our basically the climate of our atmosphere that we live in, the troposphere. The ionosphere is actually where all that kind of gets its start. The reason I know these things about the ionosphere is because that, you know, those correlate with HAARP. And I think that's kind of what you were talking about with the radio waves and everything, and kind of where the whole control of weather aspect of things are. So in a sense, I could kind of understand why someone would say that there's a lot going on, dense up there, because that's kind of where everything starts at, as in the aspect of, you know, our weather, our climate, so to speak.
Yeah. But I just wanted to ask, do you understand where my problem lies with, you know, this pressure without a container? Because I know the argument. The argument is, as you go higher, you know, it gets lighter and lighter. This is all they say, is it gets lighter and lighter. Well, that's true. It does get lighter. But maybe it's getting lighter because the gases are lighter. And those gases are more prevalent up there, and they're spreading the oxygen molecules farther apart. Hence why you can't breathe when you go up.
Well, yeah,
that makes sense.
Absolutely. There are definitely other gases, but everything would react everything reacts in the same way, whether it be, you know, helium, nitrogen, oxygen. All of those things are doing the same things once they get higher in elevations. For the idea of what I understand of it, there's less gravity pulling on them, so that's what would happen. Everything would start to dissipate. I guess what I'm thinking, what I'm envisioning when you're saying that is more of pockets of, per se, we're just say helium. Not saying that you're saying that. I'm just using that as a reference. Helium is there, and those pockets are what's dissipating the oxygen. But if we have a pocket of helium down here where we're living, and we let it rise, we can see it doing the same thing. You know, as it gets higher, it dissipates from itself.
By dissipate, what do you mean?
The molecules spreading.
Okay. Well, I go back to the. Go ahead.
We also can measure. There is measurements of oxygen higher up, and it's before space. What would be making these things rise?
I think it's just all the wind and all of that, you know, coming into play, and atmospheric pressures, you know, just all that swirling that's going on. And then, you know, I think stuff is more electric based than what they're leading on. You know, it's like I buy into the electric universe stuff. So,
okay. And I can tell you right now, just to preface, I know nothing.
yeah, I plan on learning more. It's interesting, man. It's interesting, and it's a different way to explain it.
And
Which
you know
they
what?
act like.
And I
Hold
wouldn't
on, they
mind.
act like there's no other way to explain this stuff, man. Like the stars and stuff. There's no other way. There's no other explanation, and that's bullcrap. That's
And
bullcrap.
with that, or first, see, and the problem I have with the electric thing is, and it's not a problem. And I would like you to actually, on the time, come on and explain more to me. The only other person that I have talked to that believes in the electric universe, he's an asshole, and I can't. And talking to him gives me a headache. He's a dick face.
Who's that?
Oh, everyone knows him. Grimm.
Grim.
Mr. Grimm. Everyone knows him. He's an asshole. So getting information from him.
I haven't heard Grimm since like early flat Earth debates and stuff.
And I think if you remember correctly, at that time he acted like he was a flat earther.
Well, I think I kind of perceived him as he was just, he had questions. He wasn't for either side. It's kind of how I perceive it.
Oh, he's completely different now. He's an asshole. He's an asshole now, completely. Yeah, I mean, those aspects of things I kind of want to hear.
Substance to it. I do think there's some substance to it.
Okay. Now, is there? How can I? Trying to figure out a way to ask it. What would happen once these molecules separate as they're getting up in elevation? If there was a dome, what happens from there? I mean, if you, for instance, blow smoke into a container and then you close it, what you see is the smoke rise to the top and then kind of, fan out to the sides and then back down almost. I don't see where there's instances where we're seeing gases or anything doing that.
Well, like I said, the way I see it and what I like to say to people is, like I said, if you're under that water, man, and you blow up a balloon and you let it go to the top, it's going to go to the top of that water and stop. So what's the difference when you blow up a helium balloon? What do you think is going on there?
Well, helium's a lighter gas. It's going to rise no matter. It's going to rise.
Right,
it's going to rise above anything heavier, basically.
But if there's a lighter gas that's above that helium, then why would the balloon want to try to go even higher than that? It would just stop. It would just go up there and stop because there's a lighter gas above that.
But okay, so when would we see it stop?
Hey, I don't know. I ain't been up there.
no. But I'm bouncing things. Obviously, I haven't been there either. And as far as I would know, what I would understand it to be would be, as it gets higher, it dissipates to become nothing, which basically would be the beginning of space. I haven't seen it.
The ionosphere debunks that, man.
But in the same note, but in the same note, you would have to say the same thing you just said. You don't know. I've never done it. I can't tell you.
Well, that's when I lean on the logic of I can. It's just, where's the simple experiments, man? Where's the microcosm of if it's doing it on this macro level, show it to me on a micro level. Where's the experiments proving water if it's curving at this 8 inches per mile squared? Which you can't deny that. Hold on.
No.
We're not talking about observing the water. Hold on. I'm not talking about observing it.
Mm-hmm.
The parameters of the water having to curve to conform to the sphere is 8 inches per mile squared. Okay,
it's not though.
Okay,
and I want to make it. I wanted to make that the 8-inch square per mile thing. It's not real. It's not an actual measurement. The reason it's not is because it wouldn't work. This is a part of my surveying and grade checking aspect that I know for sure, flat or globe, because the Earth isn't uniform, and the numbers don't work, is because they don't have the offsets. An offset basically accounts for situations. So if I'm trying to measure or trying to give an elevation for level across a canyon, for say, because that canyon dips the way it does, I have to have offsets, other places to measure from that will give me an idea where I'm at in the middle. 8 inch squares per mile doesn't do that. That's
like
why
control points. That's what you're saying.
100%. Yes, thank you.
Right.
Perfect. 8 square per mile doesn't work because it doesn't have control points. It at best it'd be a a really really rough draft of how you can figure it out. At best.
Well, Sean, that's kind of besides my point. The point I'm trying to make is that if water is on this sphere, it is curving, and it's curving at a certain clip. Okay, if it's doing it at that macro level, then you should be able to shrink that down and show it to me in a simple experiment. Water curving. That's all I want to see.
You know what? I want to see it too.
Where is that?
I've
You know?
Google searched the shit out of it. I honestly, I personally want to see that. I
Well,
actually,
I don't care if it's a couple of centimeters.
exactly,
Just show it to me.
and I question it too. Why can't, or why hasn't science been able to give us an example of how gravity works, how the oceans do stick? You know what? It doesn't. The only way I can figure that out is with atmospheric pressure, and that's what I was thinking. Regardless, it didn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me why they can't show us. I agree, 100%. There's no doubt about it. It should be something that they should be able to show us. I 100% agree with you.
And a lot of that is the problem. Like, I ain't no fool. Just show it to me. Just show it to me, and I'm able to deduce between, something I see is fake or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like a bunch of that stuff. I mean, you gotta admit, man. And see, that's part of the reason that I'm so I'm confused, man. I'm really confused at your position because, for me, I didn't seen too much, bro. I didn't seen too much.
Well, then, maybe I haven't seen enough. And to make it very, very clear, I have the same views as I did pretty much as a flat earther, in the sense of I don't run with everything. When it comes to gravity, to make it as clear as I can, I think there is gravity. I don't think it is as they express it to be. Why? Because there are a lot of things that don't work. That a lot of things that gravity does not affect like it should. Even as a flat earther, when I ask these questions and people give me answers, I still run with the same philosophy. I still believe a lot of people are more confident in what they believe science is than science is itself. The best I can say for gravity is I need a name for the force that does this. I have issues with the fact that
that's the name. That's what I think they did. Is that they just? I think there's an attraction, going on. Like, say, we're in this electromagnetic field, and everything just has a relationship to that, and it's an attraction, especially to the Earth, because that's the most, massive thing. So it doesn't have to necessarily be to the center. Everybody's going to perceive it as that because shit's falling down.
And my understanding of it is pretty much what you're saying, and gravity's just what I'm referring it to because I don't have anything else to refer it to. Again, it does not work on a lot of levels that a lot of globers will express that it does. One of the questions that I had, and I still have to this day, is at what point does gravity stop working? Because a lot of people have heard me talk about it. If you're talking about galaxies, galaxy was probably the biggest red flag to me to believe it as every glober would express it, would be the way it spins. The center and the outside spin the same speed. When you get a ball and you put it in water and you spin it, how the water flings off of it, the galaxy should be doing that, but it doesn't. They will express it as it doesn't because there is more mass than is observed. So that's kind of what dark matter and the whole dark matter argument thing is. It doesn't make sense. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think it's gravity. I don't think it's gravity 100%. I don't want to hear anything else about it. Don't take that as it is. Again, my flat Earth views and my globe views kind of bind together because it's not the same as everyone thinks it is. That is believes for the different sides. So when I'm talking gravity, I'm talking the name that best explains it for me why things react the way they do. I still have the question of why doesn't it work like you say it does then? I still have that question. It's still out there.
Yeah, and it's like gravity. I mean, they're saying the Earth is spinning, and naturally, like you said, that water is going to want to fling off. So gravity's keeping that from happening. It's stopping that from happening. And so that's a force, man. That's something that it's like you saying that. I mean, I work on the water, man. I work at a fish market in Florida. I work on the water, and I'm around the water all the time. It's like you saying that water that's right next to me is feeling the force. And sometimes it's like we go out there and it's like a sheet of glass, man. It's flat and it's not moving. There's no wind blowing. It's just calm, and I work right on the Gulf, man, and for that water, I know water. If you do, I got a water bottle right here on my desk. If I just tap this water bottle, that water's going to move. Right?
Yeah.
That's what water's going to, I mean, that's the natural thing that it's going to do. So all this movement is going on and I can go and look at this water and it's just chilling there. I mean, besides that, Sean, the spin, I think they get away with this RPM argument of it's only one rotation, in 24 hours, but they're missing a big point. And I can't believe that more flat earthers don't bring this up. I just be sitting back and watching, and it's like, I can't believe it. It's because the way I think about it is like, say I just had, different size balls lined up, like I got a little golf ball, I got a basketball, and then I got like a wrecking ball or something.
Yeah.
If all of those balls, okay, are doing one rotation in 24 hours, the golf ball is going to go a lot slower than, say, the wrecking ball will have to go. The wrecking ball, because of the surface area of it, has to spin or do that rotation a little bit quicker than, say, the golf ball would, right? So we're talking about the Earth, which is massive. That's where they're getting these astronomical speeds from. That's a fast speed, man. It's 1,000 miles an hour they're claiming. Now, your reference frame is you're standing on it, man. You're standing on it.
Explain it again. Explain it again. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This RPM argument, to me, it sounds like it's a reference frame of being out in space and watching this slow spin go on. No, man, you're standing on it. If you were out in space and we were watching the Earth spin, as you got closer and closer to it, it would seem faster and faster until just picture that, man. You coming into the atmosphere. You're about to burst into it. As you get closer and closer to that thing, man, it's gonna speed up to where you're experiencing that 1,000 miles an hour spin. So to me, it's like we're standing on the thing that they're claiming is doing all this speed, and it's just ridiculous.
Okay, it's ridiculous. But kind of go back a second because I heard what you said, but it didn't really. So if you a tennis ball and a golf ball,
right?
Can you explain that it rotating in the speeds again? Because I want to make sure that.
Okay, so say you got a golf ball, and then the balls, as you move to the right, say they're in a line, as you move to the right, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger. But at the same time, they're all doing this one rotation in 24 hours. Because of the surface area of these balls, as they get bigger, the speed has to increase. They had a wrecking ball is going to have to spin at a faster speed to do one rotation.
No.
Than a golf ball.
No. Well, no. You're correct in a sense that what they would be doing, but it would actually be the golf ball would have to actually spin slower. So.
Oh, slower. Yeah, you're right.
So
slower.
you know what I mean. So and then as into the reference of if we were in space, what we would see. I agree. I think.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me stop you there because this is where a lot of ballers like to take you is out in the outer space.
Wait. Hang on. Okay, I'm not a baller. I perceive it as a globe, but I am me. I don't.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, generally, this is where ballers like to take the conversation.
Yeah, I'm just messing around though. I was just messing around. I get the whole, we should feel something, but and I thought about this before. So, if say you had a fish bowl, and you got your fish in there, and you start spinning the fish bowl. At first, yes, it's going to be a chaotic situation, most likely killing the fish. So kids, do not go home and do that, or don't do that at home. But that when you're looking at it at that point, you're seeing something that is still starting. But if you per se looked at it as it was already spinning, at a certain point, the water and the fish are going to become that motion, and it's not going to be so chaotic. And I kind of
And guess what?
What's
Guess
that?
what will be in the middle of that spinning fishbowl?
Not
Right in the middle of it.
no. That would happen only if the container it was in wasn't spinning. That's what happens when the water would spin. But if the whole thing is spinning and you get it to go and you get it to go in a consistent speed, everything is going to spin on together. And I just realized it right this second. If that's how I feel it would be, I need to do it. Because you know what? That's what I'm perceiving it would do.
So what's funny to me is that really all these mathematics and all this explanation for this globe is for them to explain it in a way where you perceive it flat and stationary, like a snow globe. Like that's what they explain. You're not going to see none of this movement. You're not going to experience none of this gravity or force. You just got to believe it. And, they explain it in a way where it's flat, man, and it's stationary. It's crazy to me. It's funny, really. It's comical, man, to me.
now, on the stationary aspect of it, now don't take this as me proving anything, because I don't know shit about stars and space and all that stuff. But and I need to look into this more because I don't understand it. And I'm saying that right off the bat. The way things look when we look up and it spins, to me personally, doesn't make sense if we were stationary. In the sense of, I get that we would assume things should change, and I think that's more of a reference and understanding of distance that everything is from us, which is out of everyone's thought pattern because no one can perceive what fucking light years away is. I don't care who you are. And I think that may be the biggest thing of it. But the way our sun rises and the moon is, the way they set and rise makes sense to me that it'd be us spinning around it. One of the biggest things that kind of linked me towards this globe side would be the Terminator line. I think we kind of touched into it, but I think we got sidetracked in that chat when we were talking at the time. When we're talking the Terminator line, we're talking half the globe, or I'm sorry guys, half of the world is in the sun, half the world is in darkness. When I looked and I did this, when I looked at the flat Earth idea, of what flat Earth is, I couldn't find a way for half of the world to be lit and half of it to be dark, with the sun and the moon spinning around us the way the flat Earth perceives it to be.
Okay, so what I'm gonna say to that is this, and this is why I like to keep it. Like I said, my 3 points are the water, atmospheric pressure, and the spin. Before we get to things about the sky, I will talk about the things about the sky, but this is something that I know globers, they just love taking to the sky. The sky proves the sphere for them. So I will talk about it, but I just want to make it known that those 3 points, that's my 3 points, and those are 3 points that I argue. And I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Okay,
and I want to say too, I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. Guys, I'm not here to prove sphere. I'm right now, as far as I'm at least concerned, and I'm pretty sure you're taking it the same, as we're just discussing our views of things. right?
Yes.
I'm not
Yes.
I'm not trying to prove nothing to you, and you know we're bouncing off ideas and we're building, so to speak.
Right.
So again, I've heard a lot of people saying this. I'm not. I have no reason. I have nothing in my body wants to prove anything to anyone when it comes to the shape. Only thing I do want to prove is that we're being fucked and lied to when it comes to these aspects that I can research and you know geoengineering and stuff like that. So I did want to
Can I
make
say
that
something
clear. And I
about
was
that?
yeah, absolutely.
I think that flat Earth is a great way. I think people need to be woke up, just like you think they need to be woke up. But I think flat Earth is a great way to at least get people, just knock them off their balance a little bit. Like we got walking zombies around here, and that just makes, just like you.
Oh,
Let's take you for instance. You started looking into flat Earth, and it made you question a lot of shit, right? It made
absolutely.
you, you know what I'm saying? I ain't saying that you wasn't a conspiracy theorist or looking into shit before that, but it was something. Now that was on in your case. Now just think of somebody who's just walking around here oblivious and don't know shit, and they just, going to work, clocking in, coming back home, and not thinking about nothing. Flat Earth kind of is that thing. It's something that I think is a great tool to at least get people critically thinking.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Um, and that's kind of also why I feel like it should be an individual thing rather than a group. Um, and I think the biggest issue we have is that what you were saying. There are people that just don't know. Regardless, both sides. I came into flat when I came into flat Earth. I thought I was the shit. I'm gonna prove every flat earther is dumb, blah blah blah. And the first thing I realized, maybe after the second little discussion debate thing I was having when I first came around, was, oh crap, I don't know shit about the globe. Um, I think that's the biggest issue right now. One of the big issues as well. I don't think I'd say almost 90% of people who believe it's a globe, which believing it's a globe isn't a bad thing. Believing it's a flat Earth isn't a bad thing. It's it's telling someone they're wrong, and you have no clue what the hell you're even talking about. That's why I love to tell you I don't know. I don't want to express I'm an expert at that shit at all.
Me
Cause that
too,
make
Sean. Me too.
cause that puts me accountable for what I'm saying. I'm learning. I don't know. I'm trying to figure things out. Again, you know what? 5 years from now, next month, something could happen. Something could be shown to me, and I can go, "Oh shit, I was wrong. It's not a globe." But as of right now, that's just where I'm at. My personal journey is at that spot right now. It's that's how I think everyone should look at it.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like you're becoming a theorist. These guys are just theorists. It's like once I figured out, oh, they just doing theories. They just being theoretical about most of this, especially space. Like when it comes to space, they're just being theoretical. So I could be a theoretical person too, and just come up with my own understanding of what I think is going on. And uh, you know, like I said, I could. I'm kind of like you. Like I'm out for truth, man. But uh, you know, I just haven't seen it, man. I haven't seen it. It's nothing that you probably can say. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's nothing you probably can say. I need those baseline
No, it's you.
things proven to me that you
You
can
yeah.
you can prove to me right in my face. We don't have to go to space, and the sun and talk about the sun and it lighting up half of the earth and stuff. You can prove it to me right here with water curving. You can prove it to me with gas pressure without a container. You can prove it to me with proving some movement.
and I respect that to the fullest because that is you. The same way it was for me. It's what I perceive. It's what you perceive. I don't. I'm not here to make you believe. Believe as I do. I respect that so to the full, and that's why I know I'm not going to be like those assholes that, yo, you're fucking done. What do I know? What the fuck? Half the
Right.
things and I'm going to say this for both sides. I'd say more than half. I'm going to say 80% of what both sides say, they don't, I mean, we don't really know. It's the way we perceive it is how we're expressing it and trying to express it to others. It's a personal thing. Until exactly like you were saying, until we can do these tests, these projects that will, show everyone exactly as we're trying to express it, we're all theorists. I'm sorry. No one knows if it's flat.
I agree.
No one knows
I
if
agree.
it's a globe. It's all our perception. It's
But
all
like I said, for
it's
me,
all what we're willing to take in and use as our perception and belief. Now, here's a kicker to it. No one thinks alike. No one sees everything the same. Who's to say that we're not running off of one person's perspective and running with it? Who's to say that your flat earth isn't different than someone else's flat earth? The way my flat earth was different. My view of the globe is different than someone who's than read rhetoric. You know what I mean? We all need to realize that it's our perception. And until, like you were saying, we can go to space, go to that dome, it's all just what we believe it to be. Now, you have your beliefs for your reasons. I have my beliefs for my reasons. That's just the way life is. What's your favorite baseball team?
oh, I like the Orioles, man.
Okay, I like the Atlanta Braves. Now, I can say the Braves are better, but does that mean they've always been better? No. Does that mean they are better? No. Are they better? You like them for your reasons? I like them for my reasons.
They were pretty good back in the day.
See?
Greg Maddox days.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like your belief, your choice is that you like the Orioles, I like the Braves. Now, are we going to be disrespectful and fight about who's better? No reason for it. Your perception, my perception. That's how everyone needs to think about this shit. The way me and you were discussing this, how it needs to be how every conversation needs to go. Period.
I agree. And like I said, I have conversations with people. I talk to people that know me about this, so it's nothing that I'm afraid to talk about. I get a little nervous about it just because of the numbers. The numbers thing. Like I feel like I'm, it's 1 against 20 sometimes, but
yeah,
I battle through it and I love it. I love talking to people about it. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I got another question for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is something I think about too is temperature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I live in Florida, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
And I have a homeboy. Yeah.
I've been to Florida and in October. Not okay. 100% humidity. Not at all.
Hey, it's like 60 degrees and rainy.
Oh God,
muggy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. In January. Yeah. But yeah, so like I know somebody in Maine, right? Now, if I call this person up in Maine, he gonna tell me that it's cold as hell. It's 30 degrees, or below, So my question is, that's just like, let's just put 1,000 miles on it. That's 1,000 miles, man. That's a lot of temperature variance that's going on right there.
Mm-hmm.
And if the sun is 93 million miles away and we're getting our heat from the sun and those rays are coming in directly, why is it that there's so much temperature variance from just traveling 1,000 miles? We're all receiving the same sunlight. We're in the same country. We're, the angle of the sunlight ain't even that much of a difference. So why is it that there's so much temperature variance just traveling 1,000 miles out of 93 million?
I can't give you the exact reason. I would perceive it to be, you're right. It's not the same way. It's not that much of a distance. Is the same way I would perceive it as it's not that much of a temperature change when you consider what the North Pole is compared to Florida. You kind of see where I'm coming from on that one. Maine.
Yeah, but that's my point. It's like you don't even have to go that far for the temperature to start changing drastically.
But if you're comparing Florida to the North Pole, that's a real difference. That's a real distance as also. Whereas in Maine isn't that far. Exactly like you're saying. Those temperatures aren't.
Even if you want to use the North Pole, I mean, mark how long that is from Florida to the North Pole. How small of a fraction is that when you're comparing it to 93 million miles? How small is that?
When you're talking the 93 million, I don't know. I can't explain that. I don't know enough of a way to explain it. As into, I was actually just now, I was going to go on the website and kind of figure out the distance to see, because that does bring up a good point. The difference in the climate from Florida to Maine is the distance from Florida to North Pole. Is it that much greater that it would give you that much of a difference?
Right.
So I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and Google that real quick. I think that'd be a good thing to find out, just to have a good idea of what's happening.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I've Googled it myself. They talk about the angle, but like we're just talking about, if you want to put 2,000 miles on it, that out of 90, I mean, the sun is that far away. It shouldn't be that much of a variance to me, in my mind.
No, I see. I 100% see what you're saying. Again, I'm not nowhere near an expert, so I'm not going to say this is why. I would, the best way I could try to explain it would be that the angle of it. But then again, like you were saying, the distance of it between the different climates would really matter.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
So
these are questions that I have that these are baseline questions that I think, if they have a concrete answer, then okay, then we can start talking about, Terminator lines and stuff like that.
Yeah. What area?
But I need these questions answered first.
What area of Florida are you from, or east?
I'm on the Panhandle.
Okay, so
yeah.
I just kind of get an idea of where I'm starting from. If I'm not sure if you're watching the YouTube watch page or not, but I'm on Google Maps right now, and I'm just trying to find the distance between the Panhandle of Florida to Maine. Where's that? Yeah, there's Maine. So 1,270 miles to Maine. Let's see what now move this one to about where the North Pole is. Let me see here. Oops. Let me see. Having a little technical difficulty. There we go. Okay, so obviously it doesn't show me exactly where it is, but it's 3,000. So there's it'd be 2,000 miles further than Maine is from you. So 3,000 to the north area of the North Pole, in difference to 1,000 miles. I'm sorry, 1,000 miles, 1,200 miles to Maine.
So it's like 1,000 each. Like it's 1,000 miles from Florida to Maine, and then another 1,000 miles from Maine to the North Pole.
Let's find out. 2,000 miles from Maine. So it's twice as far. The distance between you and Maine there's twice as much distance in between Maine to the North Pole, or where I've picked the North Pole, because Google Maps doesn't show exactly where it is.
I got you.
So, I mean, if we're looking at, let's look at what would be the average temperature of Florida. So it says the average temperature, which kind of seems like bullshit. It says 67.6, but I guess that's not counting humidity. So
it's pretty warm.
Yeah. I was there in October and it was 85. So I guess I would rather. I'm gonna say I'd rather look into this after rather than go off what I'm looking at now.
And that's fine. I just want to pose some questions to get you to think.
Absolutely. And you
got where I'm coming from as far as if I was to question or to switch sides, if you want to say that, I would need these questions, sort of answered, on a concrete level.
Yeah, I'm writing it down right now. And that's the other thing. People in the chat, anyone who listens to this later, I personally believe notes are so important, because you get to go back on what was talked about, get those avenues of research, which I think are 100%.
That's because you're real, man. That's you about the truth. That's why you're doing that.
Florida and Maine. And so the best thing I would say, Seek, I'm pretty sure we're going to talk again. So I'll probably talk to you about what I found before my next stream or something like that. But anyone else, so everyone else knows, my next stream, I'll probably, talk about this because when I get off this is exactly what the fuck I'm going to start researching now. Thanks, Zeke. I'll be in the rabbit hole about that tonight. But yeah, guys, it's like again, don't look at me like a Reds rhetoric. Don't look at me as these guys that come on to say how stupid. No. I get it. There's a lot of unanswered shit. There's definitely a lot of shit I don't know that I need to know. And I'm trust me, I'm still going to go find out. But it does take a backseat to what I do when it comes down to this geoengineering stuff. I want to make that very clear to people that don't know me. That is what I care about. When it comes down to the exact reason for my being in my research, the shape means nothing to me. Period. I think someone in the chat was saying something about the panel.
Hey, can I ask you something about that real quick?
Absolutely.
I got a question, man, because it has been, and I pay attention to them chemtrailing and stuff. They do it, and when I travel, I drive a lot in my job too. So I travel to a lot of rural areas, and I see them just doing it all over the place. But it's been, Sean, it's been cloudy, man. It's been foggy for like I say for the past week and a half to 2 weeks straight. Like I can't see the sky. I can't see the sky for 2 weeks now. And it's crazy to me. It's like, so when I go and look on the radar, right? Now, usually when I looked at the radar when I was younger, I would see you could see like a system coming across, and it would be like traveling, say from east to west or west to east. It's traveling, you can see it. But when I look at the radar now, what's going on right now, it's like it's just popping up and it's kind of just generating itself out of nowhere. It's just popping up on the radar and kind of like blooming out like a damn, it's crazy. It's like so. I just wanted to ask you about that.
Okay, so when it comes down to here's the thing. I think the term chemtrail is bad because no one looks at it in the realization of things, and so I don't want to say yes, chemtrails. I do believe they are spraying. I do believe they are doing things that do affect our atmosphere, our climate. The main reason I know is because they've admitted to it in the past, and I think it's gone to a bad place. I don't think commercial airlines are doing it, mainly because of the research I've recently been doing when it comes to geoengineering. A lot of you guys who've heard me talk about it would be the SRM, the solar radiation management, the blanketing of Earth that they want to do. That in itself, when that does start, we will not see blue skies. Those are chemicals. I have referred to them as chemtrails because of the fact that it's a chemical being used. The reason I don't think the commercial airlines are doing it is because when I did my research and in my ongoing research with the solar radiation management, and I'm listening to interviews and papers by this guy named Daniel Keith. He is basically the leading geoengineering professor that is going to be doing this. He talked about it. I actually do have videos. He said the reason that they're not going to use them for this instant is because they're businesses. They're going to want too much money. Then you go to the military aspect of it. We know the military does things regardless of telling us or not. We know they have sprayed. We know the chemicals they used back in the day. So to say they don't is ridiculous to me. I asked for proof that they're not. No one wants to give me proof. I have more proof. There's more proof that they are than there isn't. Like I said, the only issue I would have for it is that the term chemtrail has been shitted on so much, we need to figure out something else.
I think that's a natural. It's like a tactic to fight some stuff. It's kind of like muddy in the waters, like you say. It's
Yep.
like if it's something true like that, they kind of. But anyway, I wanted to bring up a point because I've seen it where like they kind of do it close to the vicinity of the sun, and when those chemicals get close to the sun, I was able to see that. Have you ever looked up like sun dogs or whatever, where you see like that halo around the sun?
Yeah.
It's like those chemicals are making to where you can see that ring around the sun. It's like if natural water vapors around that, sorry, is around that, you don't see that. But when those chemicals are in the sky, you can see that daggone ring around the sun, man.
There are definitely, I'm going to call it anomalies because I can't give the exact reasoning or what. But yeah, there are a lot of situations that seem odd. Before big rain, I'm not sure if it does it there, but here in California, during certain times of year, when we have a lot of moisture in the air and storms are coming, we have a ring around our moon. It's weird. It seems weird to me.
I haven't seen it with the moon. I've heard it, but I haven't seen it around the moon.
But we do know, like, one of the biggest. Here's one that hasn't been answered, and this is why it's funny. So when we had a bunch of fires here in California, a lot of fires. I mean, I think we had the most fires on record here in California, to the point where there were certain media outlets that were saying the sun is this color because of the fires in California and the smoke spreading in the atmosphere, right? But then I'm listening to a UK, like a UK social or media outlet, and they're saying it's the dust from the Sahara Desert, and I'm going, which is it? Because this is all at the same time. Why are there 3 different reasons for why the sun's doing this, but you guys all have all these different reasons for it at the exact same time? Those are the type of things that seem funny to me. And that was also when the solar radiation management shit started being talked about.
To me, that this is evidence that they're in cahoots with each other. That's what I hear. If they're giving different explanations to try to explain something, the same phenomenon, it's like, they can't explain it over here in this part of the world because it's different conditions over there. So
yeah, okay, yeah, exactly. This is actually what I'm gonna do. Seek, I actually enjoyed the one-on-one we had, and I
love it, bro.
I beg that we do it again. But what I want to do is I actually want to open the panel because I know there are a lot of people in the chat that have been trying to say stuff, and I actually haven't been watching it. I do apologize. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna put the link in the chat so anyone can jump on.
Man, do your thing, bro. I didn't put my thoughts out there. I'll mute my mic and let everybody else get in.
All right, so guys, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Understand again. I will say it again. This panel is for respectful conversation. If you got some shit talking to say, I'll boot you. If you want to just be just ranting and doing dumb stuff, I'll boot you. I have OBS. You could try to porn bomb me, but it ain't gonna fucking work. And the worst part is I've had to start saying that now that I let everyone in my chat. So, more than welcome. None of the whole talking over everybody. Let's be respectful, and this will go as long as that happens. I'm not gonna bullshit. I got maybe a half hour at the most in me, so just beware that at some point I am gonna end it pretty soon. Oh, beware. What is up, Tim? How you doing, sir?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. One of the things that I actually can say I have enjoyed since the way, actually it's been before that, the conversation me and you've had. We've actually had quite a few conversations, and it's been good now.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole flat earth topic obviously is very divisive. I think it's made to be that way. So nowadays, where we're a little bit more level-headed, I'm especially more level-headed than some of the times in the past.
I'm going to say right now, you're a different person I mean, obviously, our first introduction to each other was was a lot different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've noticed it. I've definitely noticed you're trying to get information out there rather than Tim Osmond.
Yeah.
I complimented you, Tim. I don't know if you know, but I commented on one of your pages. I forget exactly what the video was, but you showed a lot of maturity in it. And I left a comment. You know, I disagree with you a lot. A lot of the things you say I disagree with, but yeah, man, I think you've matured and at least grown a little bit in your journey.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, it's been quite the journey, the whole flat Earth thing. Hopefully you don't disagree with the empirical observations and the observations through the P900, D3200, and all the other ones that I have with the drone and such like that. And the conclusions, the deductions that are made from that. Hopefully you don't have a problem with that. Maybe you have a problem with some of the things, my opinions of other people or something like that. But as far as the things that I've been saying for 4 years about the celestial sphere and the two celestial points, the equatorial star trails, how the equinox works, the sun and the moon, the solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse, all of this stuff actually does work on the spherical model. And I've been here for 4 years trying to tell people. I was in, obviously the conspiracy crowd for longer than the flat Earth, well, a lot longer. So trying to just say, hey, these are empirical observations that we can all do, and hopefully that isn't something that you disagree with, because it's just evident.
Well, I'll tell you like this, Tim. I live in Florida. I work at a fish market. I'm not no expert on nothing. I'm not going to use no big fancy terms to try to explain shit. I'll let you know what I think, you know what I'm saying, and where I'm at with it. As far as that, that's all I got to offer. I'm not here to debate, and turn this into, some kind of, back and forth thing. But I'll chop it up with you and we can have a conversation, man.
No, I got you. I'm just saying, like, you said that you disagreed with some of my work. I just was trying to make the delineation, basically, that, I have a lot of opinions. Maybe you disagree with them. But as far as what I just said about empirical evidence for the Earth being a sphere, that is true. And you could actually validate that yourself. So I was just trying to say, if you disagree with that, I hope that you can actually go and validate or invalidate that for yourself.
Okay, did you hear some of the points that I brought up to Sanji? Because they're,
No, I just joined. I didn't actually.
Okay. So I don't like talking about things in the sky before we hash out certain things that's, you talk about empirical. I don't even know exactly what empirical exactly means, but I want some evidence of, water curving, which I told Chanji, I think if you saying that water is curving on this macro level, that you should be able to micro it down and show me an experiment that of water curving, even if it's just a couple centimeters, across a pool or across a lake, just show it curving, if it's curving at this clip that it has to, if we're on a globe. That was one of the points. Another point was atmospheric pressure and what I think about that, which, kind of I have some different viewpoints on that. And another thing was the spin. So I just have my views on it, and you can go ahead. I know I've seen these pics.
Yeah.
You can go ahead.
This to a sphere earther would be evidence that there's some kind of geometry other than a flat plane. Mostly that I'm looking 1.5. I'm 1.5 foot above the water level, but there's 100 feet that leads up from the water level on the other side up to the building base, and then there's 200 feet of that middle building completely obstructed. So this isn't something we would expect to see on a flat Earth, obviously.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Is this at different times?
Well, of course, it's going to be at different times, but very, very close. Within 5 minutes, probably, maybe 7 minutes.
So you're rising in elevation and going back down. Is that what that?
Yep. I actually got in the water of the Great Salt Lake, looking 26 miles from the Antelope Island Causeway towards Salt Lake City, and I've done this 6 times. I've also taken the 4K drone out, looking at Gunnison Island, and basically from about 30 feet, you can't see any of the tip of that mountain peak. And when you start going all the way up to 1,650 feet, you start to be able to see that mountain peak that's 37 miles away. So everything that I have ever done, I went to Lake Tahoe, I did observations with the P900, the drone, the D3200, all this stuff. and I've shown it on my channel. It's like pulling teeth to get most flat earthers to see what the debunkers are doing or what kind of imagery they're doing. So my information's all out there, and what I've gathered is that the Earth actually comports best, mostly with the sky, the sun, the moon, and the stars, to a sphere. And there's nothing that would make me think that it's flat in any way.
Of course, the sky would be, you know, I think that's the biggest proof y'all got, saying that the sky, you know, is a sphere. It's the sky is a sphere in y'all model, and I think it's a sphere, you know, on a flat plane too. So that's just something that I believe. I think the sky is spherical, you know. So
one of the things I've been trying to tell the conception to flat earthers, and I understand most people nowadays aren't subscribing to any map or a model or anything, but there's a fundamental thing that.
Why would we, Tim?
Because you're going in the face of something that has 100% predictability. So everything is mapped, not just mathematics, crazy mathematics or anything. Everything is mapped to where you can go and see what's in your sky on the computer, and then go walk outside and see what's in your sky.
That's
so
fine.
the problem really lies with the southern hemisphere. The northern hemisphere isn't so bad on the flat Earth. There could be a celestial point near the North Pole or whatever. But as far as when you get to the southern hemisphere on the flat Earth, and I understand it could be a oblique Mercator or a Gall's Peter or something like that, but the conception of a flat Earth is that basically these southern hemisphere countries can look due south and see the same thing that we see in the northern celestial point. We see a southern celestial point with a whole new set of sky or stars in the sky in the southern hemisphere. So they're looking in absolutely opposite directions, but seeing the same things during their night sky when they're looking due south. So this is a huge problem we've tried to point out for many, many years to flat earthers.
Are you done, Tim?
My bad.
Okay, Sean, do you see how he immediately is going to the sky, right?
Well, and in a sense of it, I mean, we all kind of go to a area that would give us the best of reasoning for.
But why the sky when we're standing on the Earth? We're talking about the Earth. We're standing on it. Let's talk about that.
Well,
okay.
For me,
I just showed you that observation.
Well, for me,
I wanted to make a point on it, but you started talking star talk.
Yeah, but for me, I don't know enough about it to say, you know, this is why. But I mean, you can't fault anybody for, like, for instance, I can't fault you for the area of which you feel comfortable with what you know, for the same reason I can't fault him for using, you know, the sky for it, you know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I do see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
The thing is you can literally, with geometry, map out the sky on local planispheres all throughout the Earth, and then put that together, and it becomes a celestial sphere. There's millions of practical astronomers that would have a bone to pick with somebody if things were out of place, okay? This is something that we can all observe. Anything that I just said before, you can go and listen to again and validate yourself. You can change your latitude and longitude and see what that does for what's in the sky. You don't like the sky or whatever, that's fine. The sun doesn't change in angular size throughout the day, and you would think it gets biggest overhead, but it rises and it sets, okay? This isn't something that you would expect on a flat plane, all right? It doesn't get smaller. It doesn't rise and get biggest and then smaller. So these are things that you have to understand. They're logical deductions. So if you want to go back to the ground, well, I have endless content of on the ground doing these observations over the most calm water you'll ever see. Not only that, a lot of flat earthers like to go to the seaside, right? You know, near ocean level.
You're saying a lot of points here, Tim.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm truth bombing you, bruh. Anyway, so look, this peak in the middle, right under the sun. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of a little peak by itself on my screen here. Basically, that's Gunnison Island. It's 37 miles away. So I have 6 videos of this all throughout the year in different temperatures. This is over the Great Salt Lake, very, very level water. Now, as you get lower and lower, congruently as you get lower and lower, for some reason that mountain peak starts to be obscured by what flat earthers call flat water. So this peak is hundreds of feet up, but being obscured for some reason by flat water. And by the time you're at the bottom here, it's gone, right? Even about 20 feet up, it's gone. So you're above flat water And for some reason, it's obstructing buildings. It's obstructing mountains.
Okay,
So,
Tim, thought experiment. If you took that camera and you submerged it and it was going up under the ground, would you then be able to see the sun? The sun would become obstructed, right?
Yeah, but we're not making observations from under the ground ever.
I'm just saying, man. Just think about it.
I don't have any idea how that relates to it.
What I think about it is that the foreground that's in front of you eventually covers up shit that's far away from you. That's what I think.
But in geometry, if you
as you raise an elevation, you'll see more shit. Hold on. As you raise an elevation, you'll see more stuff. That's what I think. Now, on a globe, why would you think that as you raise an elevation, you can see more stuff if it's bending around a curve?
Because you're going up, and the horizon, which is tangent to where you're looking, goes down, and also you can see further because you are further away from the sphere.
What's your name, sir? I know Tim, but I don't know you. I'm sorry. I just don't know you.
Just call me Gorg.
Gorg?
Yeah.
Gorg. Nice. I like it, Gorg.
Okay, Gorg. Nice to meet you.
Anyway, I have endless videos of this, man, and this isn't something that you would expect to see on a flat plane. I just, like, you can go onto a track and put a camera on a track and near a football field and look, and as far as distance as you can, that's a level flat surface. Nothing gets obstructed, man. So this isn't something that's intuitive to the mind at all, that things in the distance start to be obstructed on a flat plane due to a mysterious force. This is what we call curvature, man. There's tons of evidence. I'll even pull up flat earthers that have evidence of curvature, x-axis curvature, from balloons or from airplanes or whatever, man. It's all there. There's other people that are telling you a load of pork pies, dude.
Can I just say that the football field analogy is actually kind of bunk because they usually have a little small hill in the middle for drainage reasons.
Well, that's true, but I didn't say a football field. I said a track.
Okay, so say we were on a
flat and level. The football field does have drainage. You're correct.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to know what y'all think real quick. Say we're in a, just put your mind on we're in a simulation or something. And we're on a flat level plane, and this plane extends forever. And me and you, Tim, are standing side by side, and I start walking away from you. How and what do you think is going to happen as far as how long you're going to be able to see me? How am I going to disappear out of your eyesight? What do you think is going to happen?
Yes, obviously perspective makes things get smaller horizontally as well as vertically. We can agree on that. But over a flat surface, if you kept walking and walking, I should be able to actually, if I lose you in my eyes, the angular resolution of my eyes, I should be able to actually pull out a telescope and pick up every single piece of you from the shoes up if I had the amount of zoom that's needed. So that's what
if you have the amount of zoom. Because
yeah, but look, I'm talking about 26 miles for my observations that match the globe, right? And then there's soundlies, there's other observations that aren't like these thought experiments where we're walking down a hallway that's infinite or something. How long could you see me, and what angle? It doesn't really matter. But
I'm just saying, the telescope has limitations too. It can't see forever, Tim. It can't.
No, I agree.
I agree. But can't see forever. The telescope has limitations just like your eye.
But what we're seeing is obstruction over 26 miles, 300 feet to be in fact, which also fits with the spherical Earth model. Now, this here on my screen is Jay Tolan Media, infrared flight. This guy was big, turning flat earthers with the IR and, their P900s into IR basically. Now, you can watch his own video where he's using IR, and here's the curved edge. He did this all for us. He photoshopped or whatever this for us. He says, flat world, curved edge, right? Curved window effect, visibility blocked, question mark. So it's definitely not, how about curve of the earth, question mark? Why wouldn't an actual person, like a unbiased person, say maybe it's the curve of the earth? No. Now this guy also put a mountain that was 100 miles away that I debunked quite a while ago. So a lot of this, man, is that you're getting bad information, and a lot of flat earthers don't come and look at the information that is refuting what is being told. So we get all these misconceptions and all this stuff in our head, then, where do we go from here?
Okay, so can I ask you a question too?
Yeah, hold on one second. This is. I just want to tell you this real quick. Just real quick. Yeah. This was Jay Tolan Media. He said, I can see this mountain from 100 miles away. This was on Globebusters. This was like the hot shit, right? Well, I was just the one that just got a picture of the mountain, the actual mountainscape from closer up, and basically did a Photoshop comparison of it. He's only seeing the tip of the mountain, man. There's 7,000 feet of the mountain being obstructed, dude, and he's high up, like hundreds of feet up. So I'm just saying, like, a flat earther would watch this and be like, wow, you can see the whole mountain from 100 miles away. That equals flat Earth. But they don't go into this. They don't do their own fucking unbiased research, man.
Could somebody do the actual curve calculation and see if that matches up?
Yeah, I did. I have this video that I have right here. I believe I did that. Yeah, I went through where he was in Malibu and all this kind of stuff. I mean, all this it's been refuted, man.
Let me guess.
So are you done?
Expected.
Are you done? Are y'all done?
Yeah, my bad. I'm a little bit long-winded.
I mean, you just showed like 4 or 5 pictures. I mean, if you want me to take pictures as proof, I might as well believe in NASA.
So what made you believe in the flat Earth? Was it just oral people talking?
You said you weren't listening to the point.
Was it pictures like P900s and videos and stuff?
Just let him talk for a bit. I think he's getting agitated.
Nah, go ahead. You got something?
I guess agitated isn't really the right word. Sorry.
I think I'm being pretty respectful.
Yeah.
And by the way, I just had a 7-hour podcast with Antonio Subrat, Soundly, Bob the Science Guy, and about 100 other people. So yeah, I'm still long-winded.
100 people in a podcast.
You're in the live stream endorphin still.
Yeah, go ahead. Man,
I get it too.
So did you prove the Earth is a globe over there, or what'd you do?
No. I think a person like you and Sean, I can actually talk to and try to show the evidence. Maybe you guys, won't latch onto it. They will, whatever. But there's also this narcissist class. There's a charlatan class. They have a vested interest in keeping this alive because it has been a revenue stream for them thus far. So there are people that are actively trying to deceive people, maybe perhaps like yourself, who gets netted into this, in my opinion. And so, yeah, they're not going to concede the narcissists like Antonio Subrat's.
No, and that actually I wanted to talk about. I 100% agree with that. For me personally, it was actually deterrent from a lot of the ideas that I thought I had. And I at this point, and I was holding back from it, but I don't feel the need to anymore. Obviously, there's Nathan. When I first came around, Nathan seemed legitimate. I have an issue with people that openly, and the people that are doing it nowadays seem to be very open about it. It's a revenue for them. Once that happens, you become very one-sided. You're not going to go against what your target audience is going to talk about. And that isn't just Flat Earth, not just Nathan. Red's rhetoric is by far the most pathetic excuse for that shit as I've ever seen. He has his audience pay for everything now. It makes me sick.
Like his car when he hits some pigs or whatever. This comes from a guy that can't pay $200 for rent.
His cameras, his plane flights, his food on the plane flights, the gas to get to these rocket launches. Understand, people, he goes to these rocket launches for himself, not his viewers. That's his hobby. And he's like,
yeah, but he got a P1000 out of it too. And really, the appeal of him is very it's very questionable. I mean, the amount of like homophobic and just downright cuss words and they're just.
Well, I can tell you right now, in a debate, Red's rhetoric is nothing unless he has his little posse with him. That's every debate. It'll never be one-on-one because he gets screwed over. Like his brain scrambles one-on-one. And again, making money isn't that big of a deal. I mean, that's not the issue. It's why he's like the things he's asking for, the information. If your information isn't legit, and it's not at least up for opinion, someone can argue with you about it, then it's a shit show.
Yeah.
Like,
Seek&Find was trying to say something. Sorry, man. Do you have anything to say?
Oh, I didn't forgot, man. Yeah.
No, it's been a while. My bad.
Yeah, I smoked too much, man. I forgot.
Yeah, I've been smoking White Widow all night, man. But you know what? This doesn't stupefy me enough to think that the Earth's flat. No, I'm just kidding, man. Look,
relax.
I'm just playing, bro.
I can bring up those 3 points.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't like talking about stuff in the sky before we hash out some of this on the ground stuff. So
cool. Well, what was it?
How has 1,000 miles an hour become 0 miles per hour?
It doesn't.
It doesn't?
Can I just explain this? So basically,
yeah, go ahead.
you're spinning, okay, and you get centrifugal force, right? Just go along with it.
Naturally, if I spun a ball with water on it, you're talking about it flinging off?
It would fling off, right?
Okay.
Now, if we make that ball a lot bigger, and it's got gravity pulling in, that centrifugal force is directly opposite to gravity. So it's kind of like it's a little bit less gravity at the equator. Oh, he dropped off.
How could you prove that to me with experiment?
Basically I didn't have that much space to do. I only went like 5 degrees north of where I am, and something weighed a little bit less. It was a 1 kilogram weight.
So you went where?
I went from here, Wellington, to Havelock North. And I have a 1 kilogram weight, which I used for a Foucault's pendulum, which didn't work. It didn't want to swing. But I decided to weigh it here. It weighed 1,001 grams here. And Havelock North, it weighed 998 grams, and I used all different scales and stuff. That was the average.
Okay, so those 2 places have different elevations?
Here, it's 7 meters above sea level. Havelock North is around about 14 meters above sea level.
Okay, and the other place?
Havelock North, 14 meters above sea level.
So they're both the same?
Here's like half the elevation, which is 7 meters above sea level.
Okay, so you don't think that... So you're attributing that to gravity?
I'm attributing it to a difference in weight force.
Okay, so if you were in a different medium, say you were surrounded by helium, you don't think you would weigh different?
It would weigh different because there's a less buoyancy force on it.
Okay, so as you rise in elevation, there are lighter gases that are above you, so you weigh different when you're surrounded by those.
Buoyancy force goes down when you go up because there's less air to give you a buoyant force.
So you will weigh, you're saying you wouldn't, you're saying you weighed more higher elevated?
Yes.
Okay, that's something
if we're just talking about air pressure.
I'm
so the higher you go, the more
so
you
basically buoyant force does not depend on how heavy something is. It only depends on the volume.
Wait, hang on. You're saying that you weighed more higher in elevation than lower in elevation.
Just because of air pressure. This is just using buoyant force. This is like keeping everything else equal.
See, that doesn't make sense at all, because as you rise, you get lighter because of atmospheric pressure.
Yeah. I think you've got it. So basically, do you know how...
No. If you weigh yourself at sea level and you go to the top of Mount Everest, you weigh lighter.
Because you're further away from the Earth.
Okay, so in what situation is it that difference different? Where are you talking? Like, you're making it seem like at some other place it goes the opposite.
You've misunderstood what I'm saying.
Well, please explain it.
The elevation difference is 7 meters. And the difference in weight was 3 grams.
No, the height, whether it be 7 meters, whether it be, I'm not really sure I can look, but the where it does start, the atmospheric pressure start moving differently. But no matter what whatever elevation you're at, the higher you go, the less atmospheric pressure there is everywhere.
Yes. I agree.
Okay, so that means that everything, like, unless you're talking water, but I'm assuming you're not. That's how it is everywhere. So I don't get where you could be heavier higher up.
It's not the weight force itself changing, it's the weight force and the minus the buoyant force.
I think you need to explain it, because what you're...
So basically,
yeah, go ahead.
Buoyant force is caused by higher pressure things down low. So you've got all this pile of air pushing down, and the further down you go, you've got more pressure on the bottom of something, say like a ball.
Hold on, but the air gets lighter as you go up. So why are you saying all this air is pushing down on you, but it's getting lighter as you go up?
Because there's less air up there to be pushing down on it.
But you just said there's all this air pushing down on us. It's not really pushing down on us that much if it's getting lighter as you go up, right?
Okay, suck all the air out of a bottle. It'll collapse, right?
Okay.
That's the air pushing in on it. That's a lot of air pushing in on it.
No, that's you taking the air out. The way you're expressing it. No, because the way you're expressing it right now. The way you're expressing it right now is as if the air pressure outside of that bottle did it. But if you take the air out,
it's literally the stuff on the outside that caused it.
No, it's you putting a force against. You pulling the air out is not atmospheric pressure pushing in. It's you pulling air out.
You put it around the wrong way.
Okay. The only way for what you're saying to work means you do not affect it. The atmospheric pressure itself does it. But you sucking air out of a bottle has nothing to do with the atmospheric pressure. It has everything to do with the force your lungs are putting on that bottle.
I mean, if you put water in the bottle and then suck the water out, that would be the water sucking on it. But if you get air and you suck the air out, that's the atmosphere then pushing in on it, because there's less pressure.
It would be the same thing. You're putting a force upon it. That means your force is doing it.
Can I reword this thing, please?
Yes, please. I think that may be what it is.
So basically, you've got a sealed bottle, okay? And you put it in a pressure chamber and you start pressurizing it. That will crush the bottle. Okay?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So if I pressurize it to 2 atmospheres and the bottle's at 1 atmosphere, and I pressurize it, it'll crush. So if I have the bottle at 0 atmospheres, the outside is 1 atmosphere, it'll crush.
Okay. But what you're explaining now, but what you're explaining now isn't you adding a force to affect that bottle. What you were saying before was something affecting the bottle, which then makes it not atmospheric pressure.
I seriously don't get what the difference between...
Okay, so...
What the big difference between you sucking the air out and something like a vacuum pump doing it and just having the bottle be empty.
A vacuum pump, yourself doing it, those are added forces doing it, whereas you're trying to express it as the atmospheric pressure doing it.
It is.
It's not.
It is.
Okay, when you get
I really hate to break it to you, but it actually is.
You go to the ocean, and you get a styrofoam ball, and you go in the ocean. Yeah. The deeper you go, the more pressure on that styrofoam there is, which will literally shrink it.
Uh-huh.
It works the same way. You're saying if I took that same, or a bottle of water, or empty bottle, and sucked the air out, that the pressure is doing the same thing to that styrofoam ball, but it's not. You're adding a force to it.
Let's change this up a bit so we don't have this weird thing. So put the bottle in a vacuum chamber or something, open it, put it in a vacuum chamber, seal it while it's in the vacuum chamber, and let the air back in. It will crush because of the air coming back in.
Okay, that's not adding a force, that is taking the air out.
It's literally the same mechanism if you think about it.
No, because you're adding a force in one situation and you're explaining a force not there in another. They're two different. There's two different tests, two different experiments.
You're still removing air from the bottle either way.
Yeah. Okay. So for your chamber explanation, you remove the air and then you're adding air. You're not adding a force taking the air out to crush it. That is atmospheric. That is atmospheric pressure crushing a bottle. Your vacuum explanation was 100% right. But in that situation, taking air out of a bottle is not the same.
I believe it is.
I understand you believe it is, but if you're adding a force to make this happen, you are then taking out that force of atmospheric pressure.
Adding a force.
If you're sucking out, you're adding a force that is taking that air out of the bottle. That means
I see where you're coming from.
You taking the air from the bottle is why it crushes.
It's differential pressure. It's the thing that there's less pressure on the inside of the bottle than the outside, so it gets crushed.
Exactly.
Right?
And because you are taking because you are forcefully making that equation different is why it crushes. But your vacuum explanation was right.
On the outside doing the crushing, right?
No, it's you removing it. It's your force.
And it wants to get in.
Well, yeah, because you are removing it with yourself. So it is
but
not.
It's still the atmosphere crushing it.
No, it's part of, but it's not the reason.
So if I did it in a vacuum and sucked the air out, it would still crush.
Anytime you add a force to it, you then take away the fact that another force did it. And honestly,
if it's not the atmosphere,
hang on, Gorg. I'm telling you right now, I'm almost positive it's the way you're explaining. We've had conversations that I've told you this. Slow down, because you're like half the time you're explaining it correct, but then you're putting it in a different scenario where it's not correct, and I think you're just trying to get it out.
Okay. I've even forgotten what this analogy was for.
Because you were explaining.
Wasn't it buoyancy or something?
You were explaining how
gas pressure without a container. Go.
You were explaining how something got heavier, higher in elevation.
I think I was explaining how buoyancy works.
Yeah, no, it was the. You said something like you get heavier as you go up, which didn't make any sense. So.
Yeah, regardless of what you thought you were talking about, I want you to explain how you can explain being heavier the higher up you go.
It's not. I know it sounds like I'm moving the goalpost, but it's just like I badly worded it. It's that your weight force stays identical, which is how much you're being pulled down. I don't care what force it is causing it. It's just you're being pulled towards the ground.
But then you're saying gravity pulls at the same rate higher up than it does as it does on level at sea level, right? Is that what you're saying? Because that's not.
You're taking that into account too.
No, I'm asking because you would have to.
Constant.
Well, there's nothing constant. Like if you're talking constant, you're just like saying. I don't get what you're saying.
Somebody in a spacesuit, and they're in a thing at sea level, and you slowly remove the air, they will get heavier. If you get an astronaut-shaped balloon or something, it will have a buoyant force. That same amount of buoyant force is going to be on the astronaut as well. It's just he's heavier than the buoyant force can lift.
You're saying buoyant force, but what do you mean by that?
That's the air lower down pushing harder than the air higher up. Because atmospheric pressure goes down as you go up, correct?
Density.
Pressure.
Pretty much it's density.
If you take a barometer at the top of Mount Everest, it'll read lower than if you take it at sea level.
Yeah, but why is that?
Because basically weight force is pulling everything down. Stuff up top doesn't have as much stuff on top of it, but it's just sitting there. And as you go further and further down, there's more and more and more, and it's just getting more and more compressed.
Okay, so you don't think that, like I said, if you were surrounded by not oxygen but helium, that you would weigh different in that helium medium?
It hasn't got the same amount of inertia to put that force into you.
Okay, so as you go up, say we rising up and we're going up and up and up, what do you think is going on there as far as the molecules?
These collisions causing the buoyant force are getting fewer and fewer between. So therefore your buoyant force goes down, but your weight force is staying the same, so you will get a net gain of being heavier.
Okay, so this is what he's saying, because I'm reading it right now. It's definitely the way you're explaining it. Okay, so here it is. What he's trying to explain is this, and this is the example given to understand what he's trying to explain. It says, if you weigh a ton mass of a feather and a ton of lead, you will get that the lead is slightly heavier. The air around the feather is pushing upwards more than the air around the lead, because the feathers take much more space, and thus more air helps with buoyancy. So basically what he's saying, the more atmospheric pressure that is able to affect something, so say
you hit it right
so say a piece of paper, a regular piece of paper that you would sketch on, and you took a piece of paper 4 times the size, he's saying that the smaller piece of paper is less affected by atmospheric pressure. And that's what he's trying to explain.
Atmospheric pressure, that's not gravity.
I mean, atmospheric pressure gravity. Is different from gravity.
Okay, so explain gravity.
Explain gravity.
Well, I mean, he just explained atmospheric pressure and that relationship to like a feather and a lead ball or whatever.
I'm going to use weight force from now on, because gravity, I find, isn't, just from my own personal research and stuff, I don't find it's a fitting thing. Gravity isn't the force itself, I find it's weight force. So basically, you've got a stack of, let's just use coins as an example, and the atmosphere is a big stack of coins. As you go further and further down the stack of coins, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier.
Let me tell you why that's a bad analogy. Sorry to cut you off, because I'm really not disrespectful. Because I've been approached with this argument before, and they like to use the water as like this. The further you go down in the water, like you're saying, it's more and more pressure as you go down because there's more water on top of you, right? Okay, so the water that you're going down in, that's all H2O, man. It's all pretty much the same molecules. The atmosphere is not the same molecules. It's not the same, composition of gases. It's different. It's a bad analogy. It's a bad analogy. The atmosphere is not like water. The water is pretty much all H2O. It's all the same thing. Go ahead.
Just a big jumble of coins.
Okay, that's the same thing. So you're comparing that to the atmosphere, and the atmosphere has a different composition as you go higher. There's different gases as you go higher. You never heard of noble gases? There's different gases up there.
Yes, I thought helium just escaped into space.
Say it again.
I just thought helium escaped into space, but I must have been wrong about that.
Okay, so you don't agree that there's different gases in our atmosphere?
I mean, I don't think you're wrong, but it's just I've never heard that one before.
Yes or no?
I'm going to go with you on that.
Yes or no?
Well, just remember, you guys are coming from different views, so you got to understand, if he's saying something that you haven't heard, it's not because it's how he perceives things.
That's why I'm here. Nobody brings shit up.
I'll just roll with this noble gases up higher. So you've got lighter coins up higher, and they get heavier and heavier and heavier as you go down. Say, because like the heavier coins tend to migrate downwards because they are heavier. Does that make more sense?
Sure.
Okay. So as you go down and down and down, you've got more and more weight in this pile of coins. Now, let's say these coins is trying to split sideways. I'm just making this analogy up as I go. I'm sorry if it's really bad. So basically, it's trying to split sideways. The force that's trying to split sideways on there gets greater as you go down. So if you get something like a balloon in this stack of coins, the force on the bottom of the balloon will be more than the force on the top of the balloon. and that's what makes buoyancy. So it's not the balloon that's going up, it's the atmosphere that's falling.
I get what you're saying, but I can see why it's pretty freaking confusing when you're saying it.
I kind of learned that analogy because I'm just going off on a tangent here. It was a science thing, and they had this underwater thing with ping pong balls in it, and they spun it around, and the ping pong balls leaned in.
Can I ask a question? Why do you think the atmosphere gets lighter as you go up?
Because
why do you think that is?
The pressure goes down because the weight of the coins as you go up gets less and less and less.
You're explaining it wrong. Your answer is explained incorrectly. It's not. It has nothing to do with weight. It has nothing to do with it at all.
Well, the pressure is more like the weight of all the atmosphere pushing down on you, but I'll get your explanation then.
But it can't be. How's it pushing down on you if it's getting lighter as you go up? How's it pushing down? It's not like the water.
The lighter thing is the object, such as a balloon.
What about a balloon?
The balloon will tend to get heavier because there's less buoyant force as you go up because there's less weight pushing in for the collisions.
Instead of using buoyancy, you use atmospheric pressure.
There's less pressure on the balloon to make it go up.
Okay, so here's I get what you're saying, but you're jumping around in your explanation.
As well,
it's okay because I'm pretty close to being done anyway. I'm actually tired of shit. That's actually what we'll do. Seek, my friend, anytime we got to do this again, and definitely touch into a lot of these things. Like I said, I'm gonna look into this temperature thing. So I'll actually email you because I got your email now, and I think I got you on Hangouts now, even better. And then we can go into everything. I don't really
check my email, so like Discord or something.
Yeah, I'll hit you up too. I was actually talking to Seek, but I'll hit you up because I actually want to talk to you about because Gorg, I see where you're coming from. I see it, but I'll talk to you later about it. But just it's the way you're explaining it. But then again, I know you.
I'm not that good at analogies. Sorry.
Well, I know you, and I know you're very, very animated, and you want everything out right away. And we'll talk about that later. It's nothing bad, I've talked to you about it before, so you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
But yeah, no worries, and you're welcome on anytime.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on. Seek and find. We got to do this again. I'm gonna look into that temperature thing we were talking about earlier, and I'll message you, and we can even stream next time about it because that's what I'm gonna do after this. And other than that, the whole conversation was good to me. I enjoyed it, and I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir. Me too. I enjoyed it a lot, man. I thank you for having me. I love having this conversation. I think just because there wasn't so many people on the panel, I like having that one-on-one where we can sort of hash things out. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Definitely, if you want to have more people on, I'm fine with that too. But I'll probably be more reserved, and just jab here or there.
I 100% agree with you. I'm not sure if you noticed, once everyone came on, I kind of stopped talking so much. The way I like to do it is like in the beginning of my streams, I like to get out what I want to say. That's kind of why I didn't open the panel right away. But I would prefer to do the one-on-one. And then, once, the conversation starts slowing down, then you can, there are people that want to say something and then letting them on. So, yeah, I definitely enjoy the one-on-one. I prefer it over the group. A group, it becomes too many thoughts trying to get out at once. But I agree with you 100%. And we have to do this again. Like I said, I enjoyed it.
Definitely.
So for my friend, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and get this over with so I can get out of here and do some research on the temperature variance. Thank you. Do me a favor.
I'm glad I gave you something to look further into.
Do you do anything on your YouTube?
I do not. I've thought about it for a long time, man. I want to do it. It's just time, man. You know, time is.
Yeah. No,
I think it's very important to us, and I got a
uh-huh.
family, man, and I would love to at least do things here and there. At least when I get time doing things like this, you know.
Yeah, no problem. Well, someone in the chat was asking if you had a YouTube channel, and I couldn't find your name in the chat to go to your channel to see, so I wanted to make sure I asked. But I mean, I think it was Tom in the chat. He's everywhere. He goes to almost every live stream chat and discusses what he wants to talk about in there. He so you can probably see him or hear him talking about there too. So. And then I'm gonna try to have him on here as much as I can. So I'll be bugging you to come on a lot.
Nice, man. I appreciate it, and I appreciate anybody who likes what I have to say. I definitely did give it some thought about making a channel and at least putting some points out there and putting my thoughts out there in the air. But like I said, man, it's just the time, and it's something that I may do in the future. So if anybody does want to subscribe, I actually have like 15 subscribers, but it just comes off of me just being in the chat, talking, speaking my mind or whatever. So if anybody wants to subscribe, that's fine, because I do plan on trying to do something in the future, at least having conversations like with this, with like-minded individuals. So,
yeah. So before you take off, make sure to type in the chat so I can go to your channel, and I'll put your link into the description for this live stream, and then everybody in the chat, and subscribe to my boy, and give him some support. So when he does start up, he has the people to watch it already. I mean, I think he should. I'm going to. But yeah, make sure you type something in the chat so I can get your link, and I'll put it in this description for you. All right. So thank you, sir. I'm gonna go ahead and end this hangout so I can get this stream over with, and I will talk to you. I'll message you probably the next day or two.
All right, Sean. Sounds good, man. Like I said, appreciate you having me, and definitely we're gonna do it again here in the future.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks.
Yep. All right, people. I hope you enjoyed. Again, my platform is not, me personally, I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. If you would like to, try, let me know. I don't mind anybody speaking their mind on my panel, as long as it's respectful, obviously. What I'm going to try to do is I want to do a lot more live streams with my personal observations and the steps I took to get to that. I also would like, anybody who wants to do that, to come on and almost present why you came to a conclusion of something. It seems like a logical idea to me. I do enjoy the build. I enjoy the discussion, the back and forth, as Seek&Find said, agreed with. So, if you feel the need to, speak your mind and would like to have a conversation with me one-on-one, I'm more than happy to start a stream and do that. Again, people go ahead and subscribe to my boy Seek&Find. Real cool dude, respectful. I enjoyed the conversation with him, and in the conversation I've had with him in the past. I'd like to thank Tim. Believe it or not, guys, I know a lot of you guys despise him. He actually has changed. I'm not saying trust him. Not saying trust him at all. Trust me, I had my finger on the hangout end just in case, but I have gotten nothing but at least a half decent, respectful person out of him. Guys, I did not change my thought pattern and my beliefs to attack anybody. Again, I am the same person. My views didn't change very much. It's just my understanding did. But like I said, same person. The people that I've gotten close with, thank you. Thank you for sticking by me. Thank you for being here. The new subscribers, who I know a lot of you guys heard me on an interview and had respect for my decision and actually putting it out there. Thank you for coming in and joining me. There's 1,000 things there's 1,000 things I want to say, and there's 1,000 things I want to do live streams on, and I'm going to. I'm not going anywhere. I don't regret flat Earth. So don't think I was fake. Don't think I regret it. I thank everyone for it. So with that said, guys, I love you guys. Probably going to do a stream. I would like to say tomorrow, but I doubt it. Definitely over the weekend. I definitely have a lot of information that I want to get out there about this geoengineering, or better yet, the fossil fuel industry and how government is going about it. Guys, catch up, do your research on it. I guarantee what you're going to find is a lot of the government. Hang on one second. The government talking about all these bills and legislation going through to end fossil fuels. Well, this weekend I'm going to show you guys how much bullshit it is. Every one of you guys, no matter where you're from, United States, UK, Australia, I'm going to show you 100% proof that that's all lies. That they are not only investing in more fossil fuels, but they're passing legislation, different bills, to entice fossil fuels to produce more. How is that possible if all they're talking to us about is ending fossil fuels to solve this climate issue? Emissions. How is that possible? Sounds like a yin and yang. They don't work together. I know that. So it can't be, right? That's why these geoengineering aspects that they're talking about don't work. They do not solve anything. The same way that doesn't solve anything, investing in fossil fuels and oil do not solve our emissions issues. And I'm going to show you guys this weekend. Please join me. I hope you're here. Love you guys. Please like, dislike, doesn't matter, but share. Because I feel like I'm getting information out there that really matters.
But my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises. You ain't stopping this, cross my shit, you'll be knocked unconscious, bitch. That's the consequence, I got this, I will not quit. Man, I'm on it, honest, I'm gonna launch quick, then I'm gone. It's just a matter of time before I'm over the climb and moving under my prime. Just quit my 9 to 5, I'm rocking, and they watching, cause it's shocking. Dropping all these top 10 songs, so stopping. It's time to live my life, it's time to live, not die. Wish I could slow down time and just enjoy the climb.
And a little extra that I wanted to add. If there's anybody who thinks, they have a real good explanation on how things work, please email me, message me, something, anything. I'd like to have you guys on to, just give an explanation for how something works. It would help me a lot. It would help a lot of people a lot. An aspect to the whole calling out 24/7, that was in relation to me, something that happened in the non-sex show. I am open to that, Michael. If you are willing to, I'll message you. And just know that it did not entitle to everyone there. Thank you, guys.